Do you find yourself watching a movie or a TV show and just think, damn, that guy's so cool? Yeah, I think a lot of people have that problem. I don't think it's a problem, but I suppose it becomes a problem because you think, I'm literally him. You see this person and see him as this cool ass guy, this awesome samurai, awesome assassin, what have you, this amazing woman, and you try to resonate with them, idolize them in a sense, but I wish it was just idolization. I wish you were idolizing. Start to go and think, I'm literally Batman. I'm literally Patrick Bateman. I'm literally any Ryan Gosling character. I'm literally Sam Sulek. It's really interesting, actually. And this is a hilarious phenomenon that happens, and I've been seeing it a lot lately, at least in the US, where people, instead of idolizing, yes, there's a lot of idolizing that goes on, but instead of idolizing purely, we are instead using these caricatures, these personas, where we become them, or we try to emulate them. And this is good in a sense, it's a natural response to something that we tend to do when we're trying to improve ourselves. It's very big in self-improvement space to look at a future version of yourself, saying, hey, the future version of me works out, eats well, goes to parks with women, at like elderly women or something. I don't know what you want to do. But we usually look at a future version of ourselves to think, okay, that's who I want to be, so I'm going to embody that person. And the brain does some tricky thing where if it embodies that person, which is really just a fictitious versions of yourself where that doesn't exist yet, you end up actually becoming that person. You end up actually doing the habits and doing the things that that person would normally do, which is you, and you end up changing your behavior. And this is when it's done properly. But to take it outwards, it's becoming to be a sense with movies, with TV shows, with video games, that the person actually imbues the personality of this fictitious character where their character mold has only been accomplished through severe trauma, usually from arms getting cut off or you blowing up or some shit. That's not going to happen with you. And it's very unlikely that you're actually going to mold yourself into this person without understanding the gigantic lessons in which these movies and shows and games are actually about in terms of a gigantic conflict point for the person. Not to confuse you here, but actually becoming this fictitious person who isn't even a complete person. The person didn't write someone to be full and whole, to have the dull and exciting moments of their life, only the exciting parts, to make sure that you're engaged. But when you try to imbue a version of yourself, which really isn't a version of yourself, it's a version of a character on a movie, you end up actually creating and developing a level of escapism. You are, instead of looking at a future version of yourself, you are instead believing, okay, I am not good enough, so I must be someone else in order to be good enough. I am not good enough, or the current version of me is actually causing me stress and not able to actually handle the environment in front of me. The version of me isn't able to handle the stresses of the environment around me, and it's causing problems and causing me great despair. And as a result of this, it can really lead to becoming another person and escaping your life either through coping mechanisms like video games, alcohol, drugs, burying yourself in your work, and going switching over to just being another person. I'm literally Batman. I'm literally romanticizing my melancholic solitude. Like, you're not Gus. Relax. You're none of these people. Like, it's good to see these character traits and to become a version of yourself. It's good to see these character traits as inspiring, yes, and to become more stoic or become more insert character trait here to become a better person and to actually get closer to your goals. And that's one thing. I understand that no one's actually consciously saying, I'm going to become Sam, I'm going to become Batman. But ironically, they do. And they, even if it's jokingly, that does a lot to your psyche. And that can affect how you actually develop in a very significant way. And in the sense that you will start basing your decisions and your changes in your behavior, when there's a moment where you feel like you should change, you would start to think, would Sam do this? Would Gus do this? And these actually happen to be kind of powerful and quite effective in a lot of scenarios. But also, there could be something that you could be building upon yourself to become a better version in terms of understanding why does Gus do that? Why does Sam do that? And if Sam Silik is trying to become a bodybuilder pro and you're not, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. I get that you think he's really cool, but does he actually serve your goals? Those character traits, do those character traits actually improve your life? And that's a very important thing to ask. Sadly, this like hilarious phenomenon seems to be very active and common in societies where it is depressing. It is very trapping, entrapment. It's very interesting to see that they choose to escape in a certain way. It's all about the mindset that you go in terms of trying to approach it. For example, if you want to become a runner, you would think, what is a runner? And what does a runner do every day? And if you do the things that a runner does every day, say, oh, a runner eats this and a runner runs this amount every day. If you're doing those things, if you just copy those things for a couple days or a couple weeks, you will now be a runner. And it's really that simple for the brain because it's pretty easy to trick yourself. But people don't actually understand that the things they say or the way that they think about things actually drastically influences who they actually become. And so when they lock in for literally 2 milliseconds because they've been scrolling on TikTok all day, they see and think, wait, what the heck? Why can't I do the goals that I want to do? Why can't I go to the gym? Oh, why can't I actually accomplish the goals? Why can't I go and go talk to girls or something? Well, you have conflicting goals. You are thinking that you are someone that you're not, someone that you don't actually want to be. Like, yeah, you're joking about being Batman, but do you actually want to save Gotham? No, you don't. You don't actually want to fight crime. You don't actually want to do these things. And so you saying those things, even jokingly, puts it into your brain to think, okay, I should start thinking about things that I should do around that. But you don't actually do any of those things because it's actually kind of hard to prepare for to be a top level bodybuilder, to be a fighter of crime. And I know these are silly examples, but it actually still holds true. And so individual, there are three choices that are present no matter what. It doesn't matter where you are, what you do. There are three choices that are always there for an individual in an environment. Right? In an environment where they feel stressed, where they feel I'm going to die, or I don't want to be here, or I'm getting a lot of pressure. Right? There's three things you can do. You can fight it, which that's what literally all revolutions are, civil wars, what you name it. But it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It doesn't have to be huge as a war. It can be something like, okay, I'm having a problem with my spouse. I'm having a problem at my work. I'm having a problem with my spouse, so therefore I'm going to communicate and actually try to change this discomfort. I'm having a problem at work with my boss nagging me my work performance, so I can instead take action, fight, and change the environment, change the situation by logging my work, for example. It can be very small things. It doesn't have to be gigantic. It doesn't have to be macro. So you can fight to change it. You can escape, try to leave it, which is this personified version, and or you can accept it. And so with fighting, it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be like fighting would be a good example would be revolutions and civil wars and things of that nature, but it doesn't have to be that big. It can be something like a fight with your spouse that you can talk about it, organize a discussion or something of that nature, and work on it. If your boss is nagging you by your performance, you can fight to change that by actually logging your work and showcasing what you do at the company. There's a lot of things that you can do on a small level to do it, and it doesn't have to be gigantic. It doesn't have to be enormous. All right, and for escaping, the typical dramatic example would just be to leave your country. But in a lot of scenarios where something really is that bad, you're not actually able to leave, or you're not able to get somewhere that you need to be. And there's a smaller version of this I see with younger adults and teens quite frequently is leaving your parents' house. Like, what's the deal? We don't have to talk about this directly, but like, what's your problem? Like, you're having a conflict. You're starting to grow some balls, grow some breasts, and you're starting to think, okay, you're starting to have conflict with the authority figure in your environment, something that you should be already used to. But with that discomfort, you're like, okay, I don't want to actually deal with changing this, communicating it, and actually stamping my ground as an adult within the household. And instead, I'm going to escape by leaving. And that would be an example of actually trying to escape. But a lot of other people do other things to escape, metaphorical things like playing video games. I suppose video games is metaphorical, but playing video games, watching movies, Like the concept of watching movies and going and watching TV shows and playing video games, the whole point of them, whatever your flavor, is to leave your world, leave your reality into a fictional reality, going into immersing yourself into an existence that does not exist, only in the digital world, but not in reality. But you get to live temporarily in this space where you feel a certain feeling, whether that be inspiration or power or lust, what have you. And these are all forms of escaping your current reality, escaping your current problems, your depression, your anxiety, your stress. And that's fine. Everyone has their thing. There are a lot of ways of actually coping with that. I intend on making a video on how to develop coping mechanisms that don't actually lead to destructive behaviors. But lastly, there is accepting the fact that the problems are happening, accepting that, this guy fucking kicked your dog. It's not literal acceptance, actually. It's to imagine yourself in a country where you cannot leave and you cannot fight, or at least you believe you cannot leave and you cannot fight, which are one and the same, and it leads to the same outcome. But so then you lead yourself to accepting that this is your reality. You start to understand, to process that there's nothing I can do, and this is my life. And a lot of people do this too, and it's actually quite depressing. But you end up in a state where you're dormant and not actually trying to grow and try to prosper and trying to go forward in your life. But you can understand, and it's imperative that most people do, and hopefully, sadly, I can't actually go to the people that believe that this life is just stagnant. I hopefully I can go to them to shake them, fucking shake them. The but the choices, like I said before, to fight, to escape, to accept, those are always there in any situation. The cost might be dear for some in specific situations, but the choices are always there. They never go away. No matter how you feel, they are present. They are there. And I'd say in most scenarios, the best choice of the three that you can pick, fighting, escaping, accepting, is to fight it, is to fight to change your environment, change the situation. There are a lot of cases, there are finite cases where you should accept and let the thing ride out, let the thing simmer, let time handle the problem. But there are a lot of scenarios where you can actually put forward your energy to changing the situation, to changing the environment, to actually working the problem. Because working the problem will have the biggest impact in terms of changing how you would feel. And even the fact that you are working to change it and seeing that change, that is enough to actually make you feel better, to decrease the stress, because you feel and you know that things are changing and you're working towards it. Thus, you're making progress. You would feel a piece of power in you that you are shaping the world, you are impacting it in some way, shape, or form, no matter how small. All this is great, and to say to fight it and change your environment in a healthy way, in a sustainable way, is a challenge in itself. And if you want to learn how to do that, I'll suggest that you subscribe so that you can actually see and keep up to date with my videos. I put a lot of gaming stuff on there, but there's also going to be a lot more videos like this on the channel because I actually do care about making these videos. And keep up. Make sure to subscribe so you can see when I post another video about actually handling and changing your environment without escaping it. See ya. Thank you for watching.